The next deputant is Trelawny Howell. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm, as you probably know, the great-grandniece of Sir Henry Pellet. I've been advocating on this issue of open governance, competitive bidding for 10 years, sending reports to council, hoping something would be done. So this is a great move to have this done. I agree with the last speaker that it needs a lot more than what is put in front of us as far as the request for proposals. And I'd like to address that. As you consider the staff proposal for the future of Casa Loma, please take the necessary steps to ensure the past mistakes, and I've outlined a report and left it with the city clerk there, that they're not repeated. One of them is, of course, over the past 75 years, the city has been granting Kiwanis Club exclusive, non-competitive, sole source leasing rights. So the staff recommendation for the RFPs is, and particularly getting an independent consultant to oversee the process, is long overdue. However, the terms of the reference of the RFPs should be cautiously examined. I think this is what the other speaker was talking about as well, to ensure the process is truly independent and transparent. Going back to 2007, when CLAC, which is a City Commission Casa Loma Advisory Committee, made these recommendations for a request for open tender process, RFPs, after their 3-year study, Council chose not to follow those recommendations, and they renewed Kiwanis' lease, which was unsubstantial then, and they renewed it for another 20 years. Thank goodness we've passed that mark, but at the same time, to terminate that lease, it cost the city over $5 million that they had to pay out to Kiwanis Club. Most of this was undisclosed fees, including $3.2 million the city waived from Kiwanis Club's arrears and rents and their responsibilities for improvements. And then, of course, there was the other fees for the furnishings and everything at Casa Loma that were donated back to the castle, and the city ended up paying $1.4 million to buy them again, the artifacts and so on. And yet Kiwanis Club continues to maintain their offices at Casa Loma, and this will go on for a few years. It's already gone on for 2 years, rent-free. So how could they be $3.2 million in arrears, be paid $5 million in total when you consider that, and be allowed to stay rent-free? And this is just so very strange, and it needs to be accountable. So the city must strive to avoid these scenarios that have been repeated throughout their 80 years of mismanagement of Casa Loma, as they have been with other city properties, where unrealistic proposals were accepted and ultimately failed, and I think the Guild Inn's a good example of this. There is an incentive to overpromise when negotiating the lease contract in order to get the job, and then to skimp or even defraud the city in order to profit from holding the contract. And this could well be the case, particularly with Casa Loma, which may be up for sale, as Mayor Ford told the press during last year's June council meeting, to quote, "I think Casa Loma is something we will eventually have to sell. That's the bottom line." So is that the bottom line? Are we up against requests for proposals? People coming in as operators thinking that they'll promise anything and do anything because they'll probably want exclusive rights to buy the castle at a later date, or whatever negotiations could be made. The city's finally hired business advisors, the CBRE hotels, to evaluate the potential uses, costs, and benefits that would occur to an operator. This will help so unrealistic RFP bids can be rejected, as council needs to be aware of what it will cost to maintain our incredible city asset, Canada's Castle. The city should be prepared to work in partnership with the successful bidder. Viewing Casa Loma as a cash cow, or perhaps even to expect a break-even scenario for the city, may be unrealistic and unreasonable. My great-uncle Sir Henry Pellet built Casa Loma. I have a strong sentimental interest in seeing a successful future for Toronto's castle. I believe the majority of Torontonians share the desire to see Casa Loma properly maintained as a great part of our public heritage and Toronto's major tourist attraction. After all, it is Canada's castle.
Oh, yeah, you're way past there, ma'am. Sorry, I daydreaming here. You're 5.5 minutes. Can you conclude there? Thanks.
Oh, yes. I won't give you any examples from my report that I made from last year's council meeting. I'll just say thank you for
Thank
this
you.
opportunity.
Yes. Are there any questions of the deputant from non-committee members? Councillor Carroll.
So just to clarify, you're fairly complimentary about some of the work that's been done here, but I'm just wondering, further to the question of the other deputant, if you had a dream model in terms of, because you seem to keep framing this as Toronto's castle, that we should maintain some city interest in it. Do you have a preferred model? And are we recommending it here, or is there some different model of how we might govern this to make sure that it continues to be Toronto's castle?
I don't have a particular model. I think there's a number of things. It should probably have some institutional use, like Durham Castle, which is in used by the university. I can see it as a place of teaching, maybe have wonderful restaurants, jazz, supper clubs. It should be the place for people to go as a public place instead of making it something that you charge admission to get into. So wonderful restaurants, venues, jazz, supper clubs, all kinds of exhibitions going on, and really keeping a partnership with the city without the city trying to interfere as to how they run it. I think the requests for proposals are going back to the status quo, which is really limiting for entrepreneurial creative thinking. So open it up more and see what you get back, and try to keep it in partnership so that you maintain some control, and don't let it go to multi-residential condos.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors not on the committee care to ask a question? Seeing none, councillors on the committee care to ask a question? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Pleasure
much.
having you. I don't have any other listed deputants on this item. Are there any here?